In a green valley cradled between rolling hills, there once lived a young farmer named Thomas. Every morning he rose before the sun to help his father in the orchard his family had kept for generations. Rows of apple trees stretched across the hillside, but in the very center stood one tree older and taller than all the rest. The people of the valley called it the Old King. Its apples were the sweetest and the reddest for miles around, and every autumn, buyers came from far away just to taste them. One spring morning, Thomas ran through the orchard and found the Old King covered in soft white blossoms, thousands of them, glowing in the early light. "Father," he called out, "come and see. This year we will have more apples than ever before." His father walked over slowly and smiled at the blossoms. "Yes, my son, but remember, the tree will give us fruit in its own time, not in ours. Good things are worth the waiting." Thomas nodded, but inside, something restless had already begun to stir. As the weeks passed, the blossoms fell away, and small green apples took their place, hanging from the branches like tiny hidden jewels. Thomas visited the tree every single day. He watched the apples swell, larger and larger, yet still hard, still green, still far from ready. One afternoon, his friend Edward came riding down the lane, grinning from ear to ear. "Thomas," he said, "my family sold our wheat early this year, before it was fully grown, and we made more money than ever before. Prices are highest at the start of the season. Why let your apples sit there any longer than they need to?" That night, Thomas could not sleep. Edward's words turned over and over in his mind. "The apples are already so large," he thought. "Maybe I do not need to wait. Maybe I can be first to market and first to succeed." Before the sun had even risen, Thomas crept out to the orchard with a basket in his arms. His hands trembled with excitement as he began to pick the apples from the Old King, one after another, hard and green and gleaming. When his father found him there, his face fell with quiet sorrow. "Thomas, what have you done?" "Father, I picked them early so we could sell them before anyone else," Thomas said, his voice full of confidence. His father shook his head slowly. "My son, these apples have no sweetness in them yet. Who will pay for fruit that cannot be eaten?" But Thomas did not listen. He loaded the cart and set off for the market town, certain that he had found a clever shortcut to success. At the market, Thomas arranged his green apples in neat, hopeful rows. An old woman picked one up and pressed her thumb against it. "This is as hard as a stone," she said, and walked away without a word. A merchant lifted another to his nose and frowned. "There is no sweetness here," he said. This fruit needed weeks more on the branch. One by one, every customer turned away. Some even laughed. By the time the sun stood high overhead, not a single apple had sold. Thomas sat beside his empty cart, his pride crumbling into shame. It was then that an older gentleman, Mr. Whitfield, a merchant known throughout the valley, stopped beside him and looked kindly at his unsold basket. "Young man," he said, "I think you have learned something today that no one could have simply told you. Let me share a story my own grandfather once told me. Long ago, there was a farmer who grew impatient with his field of wheat. Every day he walked among the stalks and pulled gently upward, trying to force them to grow faster. In the end, every plant he touched withered and died, for he had torn their roots before they were strong enough to hold. Success, Mr. Whitfield said, is like fruit on a branch. It cannot be hurried. If you pull it before its time, you will only be left with something bitter. But if you wait and trust the season, it will ripen into something worth far more." Thomas thanked him quietly, tears rising in his eyes, and turned his cart slowly toward home. When he reached the orchard, his father was waiting at the gate. "Father, I'm sorry," Thomas said, his voice breaking. "I wanted success too quickly, and I ruined our finest tree because of it." His father wrapped his arms around him. "My son, the deepest lessons come from our own mistakes. No lecture could have taught you what today has taught you." In the days that followed, Thomas returned to the orchard with new patience. He tended the remaining trees with quiet care, and for the first time, he let the seasons lead instead of his own hurry. Weeks passed, Slowly, the apples on the other trees turned a deep glowing red, their skins tight and fragrant, heavy with sweetness. When the day finally came, Thomas picked them gently and carried them to market once more. This time, the moment people caught the scent, they gathered around his cart. Within a few short hours, every apple was gone, and Thomas held more coins in his hand than he had ever seen in his life. That evening, his father smiled at him across the table. "You see, my son, good things really do come to those who wait. Success that arrives at its own time is always sweeter than success that is forced too soon." From that day forward, Thomas never forgot the lesson of the green apples. He came to understand that patience is not about wasting time. It is about honoring the quiet, unseen work of growth. Years later, when Thomas had children of his own, he would walk them out to the old king each spring and tell them the story of the season he had once tried to rush, so that they, too, would learn that anything truly worth having takes time to ripen.